The particular family that we worked on with NIW was a family that aggregate value or asset value was probably at one point in excess of $250 million. At the time that we were involved in this, we had already worked since almost 15 years and had done most of the things that was in our tool box that we generally use, which was family limited partnerships, which was defective trust sales, which was a whole lot of things to what I call migrate wealth to the next generation. But we still had a significant value in the patriarch's estate in excess of $100 million that we felt like I was looking for what other things, and what, as was the client, could we do to benefit the next generation, at the same time potentially maybe mitigate estate tax liability. Complexity, but the interest in the concept. I felt like in this particular case with this client that we're talking about today, this was a concept that I wanted to learn more about, which I would tell you was not a usual approach for most lawyers, and particularly for me when I was as busy as I've been. But I saw this as an opportunity, and it was something I wanted to spend enough time to learn about. So, but I felt like it was complicated. I felt like, and I will say the magic words, in a way, when I was being presented, it was, quote, too good to be true, end quote, but I wanted to go through the process. The advisors met with the agents, insurance agents, over, in my case, almost over 2 years before I even got to the family. But once we got to the family, it was more education with illustrations and education with discussions and answering questions. And the agents did a reasonable job at that, but it took longer because in this particular case, and then this is my personal judgment, the agent was trying to be the expert. He wanted the information coming through him. He wanted to be the guy the family would call or present. He didn't have annual meetings. He presented an annual report he would receive from either the insurance company, or I think it would have come through NIW then to him, but he did not bring in anyone to help explain it. So when he would have a conversation with the CFO of the family, the chief financial officer, the head of the accounting department, he wouldn't be able to answer things, and then it would have to go back, and he'd have to come back a day later, and effectively he was calling your company. That process really kind of created some issues, and ultimately not having what we have done since then is have annual meetings with NIW involved with full explanations and answers while we're there. The agent didn't feel the need to bring in what I call the team, the expertise, which would have been your group who had designed the concept. He very strongly wanted to be the guy in front of the family, and I fully understand that, but I did not understand why we would have done this in a much more efficient and quicker time frame if it had been the team approach from the beginning. Once the family was willing to do it, then we had to make sure not only did the patriarch, then we have to make sure the next generation understood. There was then all of the insurability, all of the issues with just the insurance itself, which is out of the realm of anything I needed to be involved in. But then there was a lot of legal concepts to make this work, that I basically then brought in the specialist on my side of the equation, which in this case was a lawyer from California who we worked with, and he's a specialist in split dollar and tax and in these concepts. He had worked in these concepts. Well, I think what people don't understand, and the client didn't really understand, between loan documentation, between insurability, and then just the structure on the legal side, was a whole lot of work to get to the end of the day.
Okay. Once the plan was in place, describe the support and servicing that you and the family got post-sale.
I went through a process of attempting to do some research, talking with other insurance specialists that were not involved in this particular concept or not involved in this particular case, as well as talking to some lawyers who it had been mentioned, and finally talking at some brief to the bank, to one of the lenders. As I've said before, I was unwilling to think about what I would call the ancillary benefits of this until I was sure that what we call G2, the next generation, we had a need, and we actually provided them with a significant benefit. So it was I'd say 1A on my list, and until we got past that, anything else, whether it was state tax potential benefits, whether it was income tax saves, everything else was secondary.
Okay, thank you.